let's make some apple pie.
Okay, so for the filling of our pie, we're going to use 3 pounds of Granny Smith apples cubed up. We're going to use some apple juice, butter, obviously some cinnamon, and some nutmeg. We're going to use a pinch of salt, some vanilla, cornstarch, sugar, lemon juice. So that's what you need for the filling on this one. Okay, and for our pie dough, we're going to use some all-purpose flour, 1 large egg, butter, a little bit of vinegar, and a little bit of water. So that's what you'll need. Oh, and some salt. And that's what you'll need for the dough. Okay, so to start, what you're going to start with is you're going to start with your egg and your vinegar. So crack your egg into a little bowl. Take your vinegar and you're just going to want to use 1 teaspoon of just regular white vinegar. Right in there. And just lightly beat that. Set aside. Now let's start on the actual dry ingredients. Okay, so we're gonna start with 2 cups of regular flour. And then we're gonna add 3/4 of a teaspoon of salt into that. And now, just mix that up real quick. Okay, now we're gonna add our egg mixture into it. And at this point, you wanna add a little bit of cold water, just enough that it sticks together. Of course, you add it over time, depending on the texture and consistency. Okay, so this is what you should end up with. Slightly sticky, but not enough to stick to your hand like normal. So you're gonna take this now, lightly dust your area. Grab your rolling pin, add a quick dusting, and roll it out. This is get prepared to add the butter, and what we're gonna do is we're gonna laminate the dough. At this point, cut your dough in half, because you're gonna save half of it for the top of your pie. Just put that aside back in the bowl and continue rolling. Okay, so now that your dough is rolled out, don't worry about the shape yet, because what we're gonna do is you're gonna take some butter that's chilled but softened. So remember that. Break it apart. Just break it apart with your hand, it's okay. And once you get it soft enough to spread, you just spread it over your dough. Okay, so you should end up with something like this. Make sure to keep your ends butter-free and the end over here butter-free, or else what's going to happen is we're going to roll this, and if you roll it and then when you flatten it out with the roller, it's going to spew out the side. So keep these ends free from butter, and then we'll just pinch them off. So you just take your dough and you just want to roll it nice and tight. And just like that. Now, like I said, just pinch these ends, or else your butter's gonna go out the sides like a tube of toothpaste. And now, you fold that in half. And you want to just re-dust your surface. Give that a twist, get your rolling pin back out again. One thing to mention before I start is always make sure this stays cold. If it doesn't stay cold, the butter will melt into the dough and you're gonna have a hard piece of dough and not that beautiful tender flakiness that you want. So at this point, actually, before I start, I'm gonna put this in the fridge for 5 minutes and get it cold again. Okay, so now that that's been in the freezer, or fridge, whatever you put it in, it's chilled. Now we can roll it out. Now I've rolled this one out twice already. I had to put it back in the fridge. You're gonna wanna roll it out maybe 4 or 5 times. So just a few more for me. Okay, so that's good. Now just keep this in the fridge. Don't put it in the freezer because it might freeze on you. Keep it cold in the fridge until we get the filling ready, and then we're going to take it out and roll it into its final shape. Okay, so to start with our filling, we're going to do add in all the dry ingredients into the apples first. So to start, we're going to start with the sugar, and that is 3/4 cups of regular granulated sugar. One and 3/4. Second, we're going to add your cinnamon, and the cinnamon is 1.5 teaspoons cinnamon. 1 and 1/2. Next up, nutmeg, and nutmeg is 1/4 teaspoon. Just half, 1/8. There's the one in my hand. One-quarter nutmeg. And now cornstarch. Cornstarch is 2 tablespoons. Tablespoons cornstarch. Put that aside. And a little pinch of salt. Maybe 2. Now just get your hands in there, mix it up. This is what gives apple pie that wonderful flavor. You want to make sure all the apples are evenly coated to the best of your ability. Okay, now that that's done, let's get started on the wet ingredients. Okay, so I have to apologize because my camera wasn't recording, but to start with the liquid pie filling, you're gonna take your pies, put it in your pot, and then you're gonna add in 3/4 cup apple juice and 1/4 cup of rum. And for the rum I'm using is the Raptor Rum Winter Edition from T-Rex Distilleries here in St.Albert. Once you get that in, you want your heat on to medium and just let that get hot, stir it around, and then just put your lid on and wait until it gets hot. Okay, so once this gets hot, you're gonna take lemon juice and you're gonna want about a tablespoon of lemon juice. So about that. Stir it around. And let this simmer for about 10 to 15 minutes until the apples start to get soft. And then once they get soft, we'll move on to the final part of the filling. I would just like to say, while this is simmering, get your oven to preheated to 425. Okay, so at this point now, it's been cooking for a bit. Take it off the heat. And what you're gonna do now is you're gonna add in your butter. About 2 tablespoons of butter, roughly. And 2 teaspoons of vanilla. A little more, a little less won't hurt you. Mix that in. Now, because if you're doing this recipe, and and you're making a wet filling to start, what you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to double bake your pie crust. So that means you're gonna have to bake the bottom of your crust first, and then you fill it, and then you bake the top on afterwards. This is what you should basically have. Nice and gooey. Make sure you set it aside to cool down while we get our pie crust bottom done. Okay guys, I'll have to apologize again. I'm having all sorts of camera trouble today. So anyway, roll out your dough once you're done with the filling to fit a 9-inch pie plate, just like this one. Should look like this. What we're gonna do now is we're gonna double bake this. So this is gonna get baked first. Your oven is preheated to 425. You're gonna put this in for about 15 to 20 minutes, okay? And while you wait for that, you might as well have a glass of some rum. Okay, so it actually only took about 13 minutes to get it here. So as you can see, it's bubbling, which means the butter is doing its job. Now we're gonna put the filling inside the crust. There, just shake it in there. Don't be shy. Everybody likes a full pie. Get all that gooey goodness in there. Now, took the liberty to roll out my pie crust. Do it like that. Fold it. Fold it. Until you get about that. Push down, grab the knife, and just trim the sides up here. Be very careful because the plate is very hot. Not a professional, I'm just an amateur, so don't expect perfection here. Now, I'm going to show you how to get a nice golden brown on top of here. So, I'll show you that in a second. Okay, so the secret to get a golden brown crust on top of your pie crust is simply egg. One egg beaten, and all you're going to do is brush it all over. And make sure, at this point, to lower your temperature of your oven to 400 degrees. Okay, clean up that goo, stick it in the oven for about another 10 to 15 minutes. Okay, so once your timer is done for 15 minutes in the oven, set it to broil for 5 minutes, and that should give you a nice golden crust. Okay, and once that's done in the oven for 5 minutes and broil, just leave it on your oven with a little tin foil under just to catch any drips. Just like that. Just wait until it's cool, and then we'll serve it. And once that's cool, slice it up and serve it with some ice cream. That's how you make classic apple pie. Hope you all enjoyed. I'm gonna enjoy my apple pie now.